The Commanders. Look, I've said plenty about them recently in their effort to get their new stadium built in D.C. The president made the comment yesterday about the federal government possibly taking over D.C. And I know the federal government already runs D.C. as a practical matter, but they don't really run it. They're not really, hands in the dough running it. There's a D.C. government. If the president has the federal government overtake D.C., then the stadium situation becomes his situation. And it all dovetails with what we've been talking about as the Commanders fail to get the D.C. Council to move on the timetable the Commanders want. They wanted approval by July 15 to get the stadium built by 2030. They're not going to get approval by the D.C. Council by July 15. And that comment just adds to this idea. And we've learned by now that there's always something going on behind the curtain. Like, what's really going on behind the curtain here? And how much of it involves someone pressing the buttons and pulling the strings and coughing up the money necessary to get that stadium built? So keeping a close eye on how this all goes, because the Commanders are determined to build their stadium on the site of where RFK Stadium was. Yeah, Maryland may come to the table and Virginia possibly gets involved. This is all about D.C., and this is about getting it done in D.C. And I don't know if the federal government's going to take over D.C., but that would definitely change the dynamics. And then on top of all of that, they can say all they want that they're not going back to their old name. And look, it's their business. It's their team. I'll react to it at the appropriate time if they do revert to a name that is a dictionary-defined slur. That for how many years? 7 years. There was a debate raging as to whether or not they should get rid of the name, and they finally did, even though the former owner of the team said, I'll never do it, and you can put it in all caps. Well, the current owner of the team has said they're not going back to the former name, and that's not binding, as I said the other day. And they've unveiled throwback uniforms, and the angles chosen for how they showcase the uniforms where you can't see the logo on the side of the helmet, it looks just like the former team uniforms. It looks just like it. It's everything but the logo. How do you not look at that and say, it's just another trial balloon as they move toward possibly re-embracing the old name? Regardless of how you feel about the old name, I feel like they're in the process of tiptoeing toward going back to the old name, and they might do it at some point between now and, I don't know, 2028? I don't know. Or maybe they do it in line with opening the new stadium. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. If they get the president involved to break the logjam in D.C., or if the federal government takes over D.C., and they want help from the man in charge, and the man in charge wants the old name back, what are they going to do? Do you want your stadium in D.C.? If you do, you may have to bring back the old name. And oh, by the way, we're not all that upset about it because, people will buy the jerseys and people will buy the helmets, and there's heritage and there's this and there's that. And yeah, there's people who are going to be upset about it, but they can cry their liberal tears and move on, or whatever they'll say about it. And yes, I'm still going to not stick to sports. I did write that item yesterday on PFT that I'm not going to stick to sports. The feedback was interesting. Most of it was supportive. You can imagine how some of the emails that were not supportive went. I was going to read one of them, but it would have been more bleeps than words that actually would have made it past the censors. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.